Hi, my name's Alyssa Harlow. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Southern California's Keck School of Medicine in the Department of Population and Public Health Sciences. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a preview of our article that's coming out in Epidemiology that looks at e-cigarette use and cigarette smoking initiation among youth. So e-cigarettes are the most popular nicotine product used by youth in the United States. And one of the biggest concerns that has been at the forefront of youth vaping research for some time now is this question of whether vaping nicotine may predispose youth to go on to initiate combustible cigarette smoking, which is one of the leading preventable causes of death and disease in the United States and globally. So in this article, we revisited this question of whether vaping nicotine or e-cigarette use may lead to cigarette smoking among youth, but after accounting for three sources of bias that have been unaccounted for in prior studies, including time-dependent confounding, selection bias due to differential loss to follow-up, and misclassification. So we used 5 waves of data from the Population Assessment of Tobacco and Health study, and we restricted our sample to 9,584 youth who were 12 to 17 years old, had never smoked a cigarette, and had never used an e-cigarette at baseline. We then used marginal structural models with inverse probability of treatment and censoring weighting in order to estimate the association between e-cigarette initiation over follow-up and subsequent cigarette smoking initiation. And then we also conducted a simple quantitative bias analysis so that we could estimate the direction and the magnitude of potential bias due to non-differential exposure misclassification and differential outcome misclassification. And we found that after accounting for time-dependent confounding and selection bias, youth who initiated e-cigarettes over follow-up were about 2.4 times as likely as youth who never vaped over follow-up to go on to start smoking. And in our bias analyses, under even the most extreme misclassification scenarios, e-cigarette use remained strongly positively associated with smoking initiation. There are definitely limitations to this research, including the potential for residual confounding by factors that were not measured in PATH, so for example, peer influence. We also didn't include certain measures of e-cigarette device characteristics that may influence the likelihood of smoking initiation. So for example, the type of nicotine or the concentration of nicotine in the device. And then finally, our findings don't tell us anything about whether youth actually go on to become regular cigarette smokers. However, despite the limitations, the study does provide pretty robust evidence that e-cigarette use is positively associated with subsequent cigarette smoking among United States youth, even after accounting for multiple sources of potential bias. And the findings can help to inform ongoing regulations of e-cigarette devices in the United States. Thank you, and I hope you read the article.